WION is reporting from the front lines of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Our correspondent Anas Mallick is on ground zero. He has documented his near 10-hour train journey as he made his way from the West Ukrainian city of Lviv to the capital Kyiv. Take a look.
At the Lviv railway station in the western city of Ukraine, thousands of volunteers form chains to pass on relief items into a train. The relief items include milk cartons, medicines, water bottles, and other essential items to keep the city running. The city is under heavy attack by the Russian forces. It has been surrounded, and train travel is considered the safest way into the city of Kyiv, which is the capital of Ukraine.
Once bustling with travelers and smiles, this architectural marvel, the Lviv railway station, has become a transit hub for millions of helpless Ukrainians. Fleeing a war at home, trains filled with people from across the country continue to come in. The arrival platforms are packed with people, but the trains making their journey back run empty. We made our journey from Lviv to Kyiv on one of the trains directly connecting the two cities.
So I'm currently on board the train from Lviv to Kyiv, which is full of necessities, everyday amenities and goods. But what is to be noted is the fact that this train is literally empty. There are 12 compartments in this section, and all of them, except for one that I have boarded, none of them have any passengers. This train is mostly being used by passengers to come into Lviv city from Kyiv or elsewhere in the country, so that they can be considerably safe and then use this city as a transit route to go onwards to Poland, Hungary or other parts of the European countries.
In normal times, these coaches would be packed with people. But now, with Russia's assault going strong across the country, the almost empty trains make their way cautiously.
The train journey usually takes about 7 hours if it's a direct train. If it's not, if it has stopovers, it goes through intercity, then it can take up to 11 hours. But this direct train, firstly it was delayed by about an hour and a half, and currently its arrival is also delayed by about 3 hours. Now this actually explains, it's an overnight train. This actually explains how cautiously it is being looked at, and there were reports that train tracks could have been targeted. In the night, these windows were closed down and in order to prevent anybody from looking inside whether there are people or not. But in the morning, the authorities, the railway authorities, they opened these window shutters so that the light could come in, and then you could probably see outside as well.
An eerie silence has taken over Kyiv as heavy fighting is underway, and the Russian troops are inching closer to the capital. The platforms here are empty. No one except volunteers can be spotted.
We just arrived here after almost a 10-hour journey from Lviv. You can see the things that the relief items that we had spoken about, that they were being loaded onto the train. Now they're being offloaded with the help of the military. The current time it's there on the board. The situation here is pretty grim. The railway station is almost empty. There is nobody to be found except for some media personnel who were traveling on the same train as well as ours. And the temperature here is currently -1. So the empty railway station and the empty train in itself is quite of a telling story. Anas Mallick in Kyiv, Ukraine, for WION, World is One.
Well, let's stay with that. Anas Mallick is now joining us live from Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. Good to see you, Mallick. What's the latest from your end? A ceasefire was announced in various cities in Ukraine to allow the safe evacuation of civilians through humanitarian corridors. Any update on that?
Well, the ceasefire that was announced, it has in one way or the other been rejected by the Ukrainian side for the fact that it was not meant to be in latter in spirit of a ceasefire, but rather the Ukrainian side alleges that it would have only opened the gates towards Russia or Belarus to those who wanted to evacuate. Now, as we speak, the people of Ukraine are bracing for impact. The people of the capital are bracing for impact overall in here, and we're seeing that the curfew that's at 6 p.m. in the capital Kyiv, that's being strictly implemented. There are increased checkpoints on the road. Thorough checking is being done. Literally every 200 meters or 100 meters you'd find an army checkpost. Plenty of military movement around over here. Even journalists are thoroughly checked, and they're asked for their accreditations as well. I happen to have spoken to some residents because only some of them were actually out on the streets. Most of the daily necessity shops have been closed, cafes have been closed, pubs have been closed, and only some shops that are running, those are basically supermarkets or grocery stores. So I happen to have spoken to some of them. Daily necessity items are running out of those shelves quite quickly, and that remains a cause of concern. Eric?
Mallick, you have spoken to some of the residents in Kyiv. Why do they say, or why are they still stuck in their capital, considering this imminent danger?
Well, some of the people are there by their own will. Rather, most of the people are here by their own will. They want to stay and fight with their armed forces, volunteer for them, and resist a Russian incursion or invasion as and when it happens towards the city of Kyiv. But a minority of them, they say that, and they are rather angry as well, that they say that the government's policy of not allowing people between the age of 18 and 60 to leave, that is the reason they are held back here. And they say that they're not in support of the war. So I spoke to a number of residents. Let's say about 90% of them, they said that they would be going on and fighting alongside with their army. But about 10% among those who I spoke to were of the opinion that they did not want to fight. That being said, the people of Ukraine, precisely the people of Kyiv, given that the war is literally at the gates, it's just about 30 kilometers from here, from where I'm standing. Despite of all this, all the danger, they're embracing it, they're bracing for impact, and they're rather saying that they would stick to their household, they would stick to their roots, and they would fight till the end rather than just leaving their homes. Eric?
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.